What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I know I haven't made a video in so long, but your boy is caffeinated and we're here and we're ready to go, so let's do it. If you didn't know, I recently dropped 3 singles in the past few months, which are all now available for streaming. And in this series of videos, I'm going to go into each session and break down my production process, how I do my vocal chain, my sample selection, and my drum processing, all that fun stuff. So if you make songs, you kind of know that your songs are like your kids, and I know you're not supposed to pick favorites amongst your kids, but Gray Skies is definitely one of my favorites. It's a song that encapsulates everything that I've been going through in terms of my spiritual journey over the past few years. The general theme of the song is that even though the sky is cloudy and gray, above that there's always the sun shining down, so it's kind of like even though everything sucks at the moment, it's always going to be okay and it's always going to turn out alright. Something like that. So I found this amazing sample of this jazz guitar somewhere on the internet, and it just really fit the vibe of everything that I was trying to go for with the song. And I chopped that up. I used those first riffs kind of in the beginning. That's like a great little intro part for the sample. And the main sample I chopped up to sound like this. So I also layered the sample with this airy sample behind it, and this is some cool technique that I learned where you take the original sample and you chop it up and you reverse it, and then you put a bunch of reverb on it and you EQ it and turn it way down, put it in the background behind the sample, and it kind of gives the sample like this airy dimension to it, so it's not just the original sample behind it. Here you can see on this I have some EQ, some Valhalla, which is a free plugin, it's amazing, and then some vinyl, which is also a free plugin, just to dirty it up a little bit. And by itself, this is how it sounds. And I think that just adds some really cool dimension. On the sample itself, I just have some EQ, some RC20, and then this KHS tape stop plugin, which is amazing as well. I learned this really cool trick from one of the Disclosure YouTube streams where he takes RC20 and he'll put all these dimensions on it. So, and you can automate the magnitude knob, so as the magnitude knob goes up, it'll kind of turn up all these little things together, and it really gives it this cool effect. So what that's doing is it's giving it some reverb and a high pass filter and some bit crush at the same time, and it just gives it this really cool thing. So I'm a huge drum guy, like drums are probably one of the most important parts of a song to me, so for the drums I really wanted to go for this organic, gritty, like old school vibe, but still is very punchy and, you know, in your face the whole song. So the kick I got from the Black Milk kit, which you can get on Splice. And for the snare, I think I used the snare from the Jazz Hop kit on Splice, which is an amazing kit. I use it in a lot of my songs. And I put in that snare roll too, just to kind of give it like more of a feel like it's a live drummer. And then on top of that, I layered that snare with like a rim shot just to give it like a more high-end punch to it. And then I had this drum fill. I don't even know if it's a drum fill, it's just kind of something like leading into the main drum loop. And then for the hats, there was this hi-hat top loop that I use, and it's very organic, real sounding, so it really complements the style that I was trying to go for. And then some perks, and also something cool that you can do if you have a ride. You can take the ride and put it behind itself, cut it a little bit, and then reverse it. And then if you see, you can actually have this little... I do that in a lot of my songs, and I think it's amazing. So all together, the drums sound like this. So sounds great. I love that. These are my favorite. On top of that, I've been really going through this like jazz phase where I'll have some guitar and some drums and some saxophone lightly layered on top of that, and it just sounds amazing. I love it. So for this, I just use this saxophone sample. And on that, it's very simple, but I just have some EQ, some little micro shifts, some delay, and some more RC20. To give it some more dimension, I also put some strings behind it. Very subtle, just like a one note. And this is something that a lot of producers will do, is they'll just take like either a synth or some strings and just put that one note behind the whole song. And it really does something, I'm not sure what, but it just gives it this like background that makes it sound so much better. And when you take it out, it sounds so much worse. So it's a very cool thing. I know Jake Dilla does it. I know Tom Misch does it. A lot of producers like that. So the bass is also a really important thing for me in a song, and for this I actually use the Contact upright bass, which is a really cool organic sounding instrument that just sounds like a picked upright bass, which I actually played in middle school, so that's weird. But this bass sounds like this. So it sounds great. It sounds like a live player, which I love. And then of course side chaining that to the kick is very important. So the kick has some room to breathe. So for the ambience, for me, I'm kind of a lo-fi producer. So ambience is a huge part of what I do. And I kind of wanted the song to sound like it's at an open mic or something. You know, it's at a place or a cafe where there's a lot of people around. And in the beginning part of the song, I actually have this cassette tape deck startup noise. So together with the sample, that sounds like this. So yeah, it kind of sounds like someone's like hitting a cassette tape deck thing and just pressing the button, which I really like. And then on top of that, I just have some little ear candy transitional stuff. I actually don't know. Yeah, that siren is not actually in the song. But I also added in some piano during the chorus, because anytime you have a chorus, you want it to be something bigger, something more than the verse. You want the verses to be, you can do whatever you want, but you kind of want the verses to be smaller and lower energy, and you want the choruses to be like bigger, opened up, more energy, and that's just kind of how that works with that. So for the chorus, I layered in this piano. And on that, just some EQ, some RC20, which I love RC20 on everything. It's like fucking amazing. And then at the end, I put in this, I just did some guitar myself and put that at the end just to kind of give it something to lead out. Kind of like that, just to mix it up. Alright, so that's basically all the beats, so now I'm just gonna go into the vocal side of things. So for the verse, this is my heavily comped final verse structure. I do something called comping, which I think a lot of people don't really know about, and you take a bunch of, with my vocal recording process, you will take a bunch of recordings of your voice, of you doing the take, and then you'll listen through each one of these. It's a very time intensive procedure, and you listen through each one of them and you take only the best parts and you kind of stitch them together like a Frankenstein ultra version that's gonna sound way better than any one of the individual ones. And this is something that's very standard in the engineering process in the industry, so it's very important for people to know about. But as you can see, just going into each one of these, there were parts that I liked in each one, and I would just stitch those together, and I ended up with this final total vocal take.
I heard some people on my line say I've been taking a minute. Tell them making masterpieces ain't no race to the finish. I've been loving all my enemies and raising up my energy. Been feeling like I'm Pop, I got my face in the spinach. I made some.
So for that, I just have everything bus to a main vocal bus. And then on that vocal bus, I had a lot of stuff that I'll put on there, but I ended up not really using. So I just have some EQ. And this is my, as you can see, this is kind of like my preset for my vocal chain that I will use, and it's just cutting everything a little bit up in front of 50K, cutting a little bit more, a little dip here at like maybe 250, another dip right here in the mids, and just cutting everything. These frequencies like don't really matter, but I just cut them anyway. So that's my vocal EQ. So first I'll do a subtractive EQ, and then I had a compressor on there. So this compressor is just the stock compressor from PreSonus, and it's a beast. It does the trick so well, and it's just kind of the compressor that I learned on, and I've tweaked and done a lot. Compressors, they take a lot of time to really like figure out how to make things sound good and what fits with your voice. So this is just my favorite off the cuff first compressor that I'll use. My ratio here is a 3.6, which is a little bit higher, but I think it sounds good. I'll bring the threshold down until
I heard some people on my line say I've been taking a minute.
Until I'm getting like somewhere between 3 and 5 dBs of gain reduction. And I'll start with the attack and release very slow, or very fast, and then after that I'll raise the release up to maybe about here, and that just kind of gives it like this sound that I just like. You just gotta feel it out and do what's right. I have another compressor behind that, the UAD Teletronics limiter, which is amazing. It's, in my opinion, the best compressor that I've ever used, and it just has this amazing texture to it that just, the lows are amazing, the highs are amazing. It just does a really good job. And
I heard some people on my line say I've been taking a minute.
Here I'm only looking for like -3 and just a little bit more to add some more depth to the vocal, and I'll bring that back up with some more gain matching. And then after that I have this de-esser from, I think, Slate Digital, and
I heard some people on my line say I've been taking a minute.
So any de-esser is just going to take off the harsh S's and T's of vocals, and they're very important. Typically now I will put the de-esser in front of the compressors, so it's taking out those frequencies before they're getting compressed. But this was before I really knew how to do that, so they're after the compressors. And then just anytime you're de-essing, you know, you're sometimes around 8K, really wherever the frequencies are the harshest, but that's what this guy is doing. Then after that, for other chains, I'll usually have some other crazier stuff, like some saturation and other things that I'll do to the vocals, but with this one it was pretty simple. After that I used So after that I used the vocal writer input from Waves Audio, which is an amazing plugin. It's very standard in the industry, and what this is doing is it's just riding the level of the vocal. So if it's ever too quiet, it's bringing it up a little bit. If it's ever too loud, it's bringing it down a little bit, so you get more of a consistent level with your dynamics.
I heard some people on my line say I've been taking a minute. Tell them making masterpieces ain't no race to the finish.
So that's what it's doing. And then on top of that, I have the vocal doubler from Isotope, which is a free plugin again, and it's amazing. And for me, what it kind of does is if I have a vocal that's dry, mostly the vocal will be coming at me like this. And when I put something on like this vocal doubler on there, what it's doing is it's just coming at it like a little bit wider, and that's all I'm really looking for with that. So that's my vocal chain that I use for I think both the chorus and the verse. I also added in some delay. And that I just have the repeater on there with some EQ just to give it like a more of like a telephony background noise type thing. And so for the hook I did the same thing, but also used some Melodyne on the hook. Whenever I'm singing, because I'm not a very good singer, I have to Melodyne the shit out of it just so it sounds decent.
Gray skies up above my head, couple demons underneath my bed.
So yeah, not sounding great, but really cool. My amazing, beautiful girlfriend Leah, she did some background vocals. She's an amazing singer. She's a very talented musician, and she did background vocals on this track for me. And for her, we just did 2 separate takes and then panned them left and right, and this is what they ended up sounding.
Gray skies up above my head, couple demons underneath my bed. Need a reason not to go insane and throw somebody out the window pane.
So amazing. If you can get someone to do backup vocals for you, it just really adds some extra oomph to your vocals. I really love how they turned out on this track. For her vocal bus, I have kind of the same thing going on as my vocal bus. Just a gate EQ compressor, another compressor, the R-Vox from Waves, which is amazing. It's very simple. And CLA, I guess, another compressor, and some de-essing, and Fresh Air, which is a great plugin it's a free plugin again from Slate Audio. It's a great plugin, just boosts the highs and gives it that shine. And some vocal writer, and that's all I have on her bus. And then for the intro, just to give it some ear candy, I chopped up the chorus, my vocals and her vocals, and I did a little bit of format shifting on it with some little Alter Boy, which is a great plugin from Sound Toys. Just boosted the format and chopped it up a little bit, put some delay, EQ, RC20, and this is how it sounds. Just like teasing, giving a little bit of like a foreshadowing to what's to come in the chorus, and it gives the listener something to listen to while the beat is going. So yeah, and that's it. That's pretty much the whole thing, baby. That's what we got. That's what we're doing. And I love this song like so much. This is one of my favorite songs. I was so excited to put it out, and I really feel like people are enjoying it. So yeah, that was the song. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. I'm an independent artist, so I am really just doing this to try to connect with people, but thank you so much for supporting me and listening to the video. Gray Skies is out on all streaming platforms, so go stream it. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.